Today I'm going to be showing you how to install heated seats in a Veloster N, just using an Amazon kit. I already have the passenger seat out. I've put the heaters in it, but I'm going to show you for the driver's side. So you're going to start by pulling the seat back there, then grab a 3/8 inch, just regular hex works, or these are special, I think they're like Torx or something. But yeah, there's 2 bolts here in the front, so one in there, one in there. And then you're gonna pull the seat forward and do the 2 bolts on the back. All right, so once you've got it all unbolted there, you can just go ahead and pop this baby up. And there's gonna be a bunch of harnessing down here. So the passenger side here, here's all the harnessing. It's for like airbags and stuff, so it's pretty important you don't mess this stuff up when you're messing around with it. Make sure you have the car off when you do this. So once you've got them all unplugged, the harness is still attached, here and here. And I could not get the back to pop out properly of these little plastic clip things. So I've been just sticking a flathead screwdriver in where the clip meets and then just pulling, with my other hand to get these out. All right, so after you take the seat out, just don't forget to, vacuum while you're in here. But one thing to note before you do this is that these little seams here aren't gonna be as nice after you put the heaters in. Like you see, it only really goes from here to here. Doesn't quite get that edge, but on the one I haven't ripped apart yet, it goes all the way across. So just an aesthetic note, and it happens with, the other ones up here too. Just an aesthetic note before you get working on this. All right, so I'm gonna start here with the driver's side. It's the same as both for the entirety of this install, but yeah, you're gonna wanna flip it over and you're gonna wanna get this piece of plastic here off. So you're gonna need to take a Phillips screwdriver, and behind the handle here, there's 1 screw in there. Don't do this screw on the handle yet. And then there's also another screw hidden behind this little flap here. So this is specific to the driver's seat, but you gotta take this part off here. I was really struggling to take it off, but there's a kind of like a metal knob on the back there that fits into the slot, so when it goes on, it's like that, and then it goes in. So try to stick a screwdriver like on this side to like pry it up like this direction, and then you can kind of pull it out. Yeah, so once you got that piece off, you got this piece off, then you gotta take this guy off. All right, and then there's 2 more screws in there. Handle should just come right off. All right, put that to the side. So then that reveals another screw. Pull this up. So pull all the sides of it up, and then this is where the tab is down here. Let's see. This is where that tab is. And you kind of push it and slide it like this way off. All right, so once you get that pulled off, you got a connector you gotta take off there, and you can put this piece to the side. Okay, so a lot of that's specific to the driver's side. Passenger's a lot easier. So then you just gotta go around, and there's a bunch of these clips that hold on the cushion here, and you just need to go ahead and pull all of those off. All right, and it makes it easier if you recline the seat back, but yeah, it's all just Velcro pieces here. So pull the cover off, and then you can start to align your heater here. So this heater wants the sticky side, put that on the foam and not on the fabric. And then take your lead here and put it through until it pops out on the other side, and make sure it's on the cushion side rather than the leg, or I mean the hinge side rather than your leg side. so, okay, so then you're gonna go ahead and line this up. So to make room for these Velcro pieces, you can cut all the way across here, but then you're gonna lose all the heating up here. So you have to leave, you know, a few segments still available, so that way the electricity can flow through the sides here, you know, and then all the way across, so you get even heating. So wherever you take out to fit the Velcro, you're gonna lose heat in that tiny spot, but it really is not noticeable. Okay, and a tip when you're applying this sticky stuff is make sure you, you know, you pull it, you make sure you stretch it a little bit, and really get it smooth, and then kind of roll up the sides here. So push and then kind of get it all pushed up before you roll it over. And then yeah, also this top part right here, I'm gonna go ahead and cut that and then just put a little piece of tape up there. All right, so now that I've got these slots cut out, I just used just a regular old box cutter here while it was all stuck up like this. So now it's ready for me to put the Velcro back on. So I did put some electrical tape up here. You don't need to do this. I think this might just help it wear in the future. Not exactly sure if that really does anything. It's not gonna short circuit when you cut it or anything, because this whole thing is just a resistive pad. Like the electricity will just go, you know, around it. It won't, like, so it's already shorting across all this. And put this back on. So when I put it on, don't want my scissors and tape in there, I'm going to push the Velcro on and kind of roll it up. So I'm gonna push the Velcro on and I'm gonna roll it all up here until it comes over the top there. So kind of start here and push from behind on there and just kind of roll it up slowly. And when you get to the middle, make sure you really dig in there and get that in. All right, and then kind of pull up your sides too as you're doing this. So I'm gonna cut because it's easier with two. All right, so now I got that all pushed up, got it all back together. I'm gonna go ahead and put all the plastic clips back on all the way around that hold the seat in place, and then get ready to do the top side. All right, so now I got that all clipped back in place. I'm going to go ahead and do the back here. So to get into the front side of the seat, you actually need to take this back piece off. And there's a bunch of clips in here. And so to get it off, you got to push it this way and kind of up a little. And just so you can see all the clips and how they look. So these ones, you know, you got to push forward. These are just normal. And these ones are metal things. You might be able to go around the edge and pop those off before you take off this, but they can get caught underneath the fabric here. It's kind of a pain. Yeah, so you do the same thing that you did on the bottom. You take off all these guys all around. All right, so once you get all the clips popped off, go ahead and peel this up. There's a bunch of Velcro under here. Be careful with this Velcro, it comes off easy. And then there's also these 6, kind of almost like they're ring style. They lock on these metal bars and they're pretty easy to rip out. So be careful with that. And there's 3 on each side and then more Velcro pieces. And do the same thing, just pull everything all up. All right, so once you get all that undone, you can do the exact same thing you did before. So put the heater on, line it up where you want to, and stuff the power down where the other one. So one thing to note about these heaters while you're cutting them is the places that the heat actually comes out kind of varies. So if you see these little perforated holes here, there's actually more heat coming out of there than in between, like where there's not as many paths. So, you know, it's a lot more dense. So, you know, right here, I cut out a lot of the thick paths, and so I'm not gonna get as much heat out of here. So you can kind of make sure you shift this up and down to make sure you maximize the amount of paths that you have when you cut out the Velcro. Just one thing to note when you're doing this. All right, so once you get everything, you know, all cut out here, and then you get all your sides done there, everything taped up, whatever you want to do. you know, this is the time when you want to roll everything back. You know, make sure you hit all these 6 clips on the way, hit all the Velcro, and then when you get done here, you're going to want to push these bottom 4 clips through the bottom here to the other side, and then clip everything on the back. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Just a side note, these thermal sensors kind of bulge out a bit, and I think if you really wanted to, you could cut out kind of like a scoop out of the foam to put that sensor in, so maybe it doesn't push into you. You know, I haven't noticed it hit me at all, so you know, whatever. But it's, you know, maybe if you're very, you know, concerned about stuff like that, it might be a good idea. All right, so now that everything's done, you're just gonna go ahead and put all these same old clips back on the back you had before. Another quick side note here is that when you get your wiring, you know, coming out the middle here, you're gonna wanna make sure it's off to the side when you put everything back together, because you want it on the right side for the driver and the left for the passenger. So that way you can hook it into the center console. So it'll go through the center console, and then your wiring is gonna be tucked under there. Make sure when you put this piece back on that you plug the connector for this thing in first before you put it back on, because otherwise it's gonna be tough to get to. And then also this screw's got to go in before you put the arm back on here. And so then you'll do this screw, the arm, 2 screws there, the cover, this guy up here, the screw in there, the screw on the back here, and the handle. So I'll get back when that's all done. All right, so now you should be all back together. Just do the same exact thing for the passenger seat as all that. All right, so I kind of got the seat halfway in the car here. So a few things to know when you're putting it back. Make sure you get all these cables and you clip them up properly. You know, make sure your leads coming out of this seat stay clear. And then I think it's gonna be easier to do the back 2 bolts and then go ahead and do the front. Also, you might be able to tell, but these are misaligned now, like one's closer than the other. So you'll have to pull the latch on the front of the seat and make sure that they're lined up before you actually drop it down. Otherwise, it's not gonna go into these holes here that hold it in place. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So I don't know the torque spec on these bolts, but they're, you know, what holds you in an accident. So make sure that you torque them down properly, or at least, you know, pretty tight. All right, so right now I'm gonna wire up the seats here. I've got both the leads sticking out the back for right now. I'm gonna put those in between the seat and underneath the center console here. And then I'm gonna route the wiring up through, around, and then it's gonna come out underneath here, and I'm gonna tap it into the fuse box. So I've already got an add a fuse thing here, you know, fuse adder. I did some lighting, some accent lighting. So I'm just gonna, you know, add on to that as my positive, and then find a chassis bolt somewhere to ground. And if you don't know what the fuse adder looks like, let's see, where did I put it? Oh, I put it right here. This is what the fuse adder looks like. So you put the fuse that you want to use with the circuit in the top there, so the one leading to this lead, and then you can put the normal fuse, the one that you're replacing, down there. And this lets you make sure that you only can run the heated seats when the car's on. So you have to find one of these. You know, this one I've found only turns on when the car comes on. So, for example, you know, turn on the car, and then my lights come on. So I'm just gonna tap into that too, or find another one for this circuit. And you can use a multimeter to test that. Just keep turning on and off the car until you get 12 volts on one side, and yeah, you can just check it like that. Stuff apart. So first off, just take off the shift knob and just rip it right off. Okay, so that's off. Then you can go in and pull this cover off. All right, so once you've got this piece pulled out, also pull out your black piece here, and then you're going to go ahead and take this part out. Okay, and then once that's out, make sure to unplug your this is your traction control switch, so unplug that, and then you go ahead and take out the handbrake cover. Okay, and then open this up. You see there's a little clip right here. So you're gonna take the screwdriver or pry tool, put it up underneath there. So then that's gonna take this whole piece out here. Sure to pull that up. All right. So all that done, then you should be able to pull this piece. All right, and so you basically just pull this piece right up once you get all that stuff off. All the harnessing and stuff made it up here, so I've got the relay there. I'm gonna hook it on to this bolt right here. So it's got the little hole in it. Gotta tie it down there. Made all the other connections. So this one's for the switch. Just pull that in from the side and then connect it on the seat, power, and then these are the heaters. All right, just a quick note here. So when unscrewing this guy to try to get this guy down, the washer was too fat. So I took a pair of tin snips and cut it. And because you can spin the nut independently of the washer, it just goes right on there, and I'll be able to screw it down. It's at 10mm, by the way. All right, you're doing that last take. So right now I've got all of the wiring tucked away nicely so I can fit the cup holders in here, you know, tucked down and as far against that as possible. Got my switches ready to go. I decided to just have the positives up front and actually ground the negatives off of this terminal thing right here. It's a lot easier than running everything and trying to ground it underneath the feet. Not the feet, the pedals. So now I'm gonna take my fuse adapter, put a 10 amp fuse in there because that's what's in the heaters. And then I'm gonna wire nut, you know, or solder, or however you want to do it, all of these together up underneath here, and then get it all tucked away and test it out. All right, so now that I've got it all hooked up in there, you know, fasten all those wires together, I'm gonna go ahead and test it. So to turn the car on to the accessory mode. Okay, so it's on. My lights are shining. That means I have at least that done. And then I got my switches here. The low is green, the red's high. All right, so once you get your positions, I'm just gonna go here and here. You know, just kind of generally under there. You're gonna need a 20mm or a 1932's drill bit so that you can get this guy in. I'm just gonna go ahead and drill this. So after you drill the hole, you might notice that there's actually an alignment slot on the side here. So I'm just gonna cut a groove in there now that I have it so that it always faces forward. All right, so I've gone ahead and drilled holes and put these switches in. Put them in about there. Tip for getting these in, you know, after you cut the notch and drill a hole. I only actually use a 19mm, and it says to use a 20, but I used a 19. It was fine. Is use a 15 or a 14mm socket and just put it right over the edge here, and it'll make it so you press these in, you don't damage the switch, because I was breaking it pretty bad before doing that. But yeah, use the socket to push around the edges here without pushing in the middle. Yeah, so now I got to put it all back together. And I just had that boot sitting on there because this thing's loaded with grease. So, okay, now for the reassembly. So make sure to hook up these switches. Make sure to hook up these switches before you start plugging away at stuff. So make sure to get that one in there. And then you just need to drop this back on. There's a couple clips on the outside here. Just kind of push it down from usually this side. Feels good to push it down from. Yep. And then it should just kind of slide right in there. Right, yep, make sure you get it all down. All right, and then the next step is to put this guy back on. So I like to start up here, go all the way back. Make sure that's all good and solid. Then I'm gonna go ahead and do this back piece, I guess. So it's got 4 kind of pieces to hold it in there. So get that guy in. Then I'm gonna drop the shift boot. So there is a spring in here that likes to fall out, so just be mindful of that. When you're taking it on and off, you're not losing that piece. All right, so I got my shift knob. Just slap that baby right on there. Little accent covers. The e-brake guy kind of rocks in front to back. Other side, actually. Yep. Okay. Fuse cover. These doohickey covers. Put those in. And then close up the console. And you're all good. That's how you install heated seats in Veloster N.